Hello again. Welcome to the second part of my video about instructional technology. If you remember, last time we discussed some of the ways to use the instructional technology such as blogs and forums in order to encourage the students' participation and also in order to save some time in giving them individual feedback. So today we're going to look at some of the more technologies such as Google Docs or Google Drive in general, journaling and how you can do that online, and the virtual reality applications, which we are lucky to have here at Lehigh. So these three different aspects of instructional technology can be used again to save time when you're giving individual feedback, and I am going to talk a little bit more about it when I show you how to use Google Docs. We will talk about why it is important for the students to do the journaling and what kind of a role instructional technology plays in that. And finally, when we talk about virtual reality, we are going to touch base on what kind of applications are available to us and why they are so important in sparking a conversation within your classroom and in encouraging international students to explore things that they might not be comfortable with, to explore the issues, topics they're not familiar with, and so on. So as your reading has mentioned, more and more attention is being paid to the collaborative writing. For the international students specifically, I find that this activity is extremely beneficial. Is because normally they do not collaborate in a lot of their cultures, and collaborative writing is something that is new, but also something that they have to get used to because they will be collaborating a lot here in the United States. And two, because that allows for ongoing support and for ongoing peer review as they're working on each other's writing and as they're trying to go through the writing process together. So I'm going to show you what a shared Google Doc looks like, what you can do with that, and I can talk about a little bit about what kind of different uses you can find for that particular assignment.
So let's talk a little bit about Google Docs and Google Drive and how you can use that to enhance your writing instruction. I absolutely love Google Docs. I use it in my writing classes all the time for a number of different reasons. Let me just show you a couple of applications. So these documents that you can see here are the documents that were shared with me by two students in my class that were working on their collaborative writing project. The neat thing about the Google Drive is that they can create a folder and share the whole folder with you. This way you can see the progression of their drafts. So if they want to create a separate document for each draft, you will be able to see all their drafts once they share the folder with you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of the drafts and show you how you can work on that. So for collaborative writing, one of the biggest benefits of the Google Docs is that you can see the whole revision history. So here I went into the revision history, and as I've mentioned before, I have two students working on this. Okay. And the students are color-coded, so I have purple for one student and green for the other. So if, say, I want to go to this revision version, I can see everything that this student did in this document at that revision. So I can see how he was changing some words, he was working on the language, he was also moving things around, making sure that things are done appropriately, and so on. And then this student was also adding his description of one of the sources, so you can really see the collaboration between both people. And then again, you can go through the whole revision history and look at some of the other things that the students did. So this way you can make sure that all the students in the group are collaborating equally. Okay, so I'm going to go back to their document and I'm going to show you a couple of other things that you can do here. Google Docs are also great for both peer review and the instructor's feedback on the draft. If you're doing peer review, you can just ask the students to share their documents with each other, and they can give comments to each other right here. If you're an instructor who is reviewing the drafts of the students and you want to make comments on that, again, you probably know how to make comments in the Google Docs. So here I posted a comment. I can give some feedback here, say that something needs to be changed, and then once the student changes that, he or she can just mark it as resolved. Okay. Now another, this however does not save you a whole lot of time, because if you look through every single draft in your class with 25 students, obviously it's going to take you a while to write your feedback for each single individual draft. So what you can do to save yourself some time is install an add-on that's called Kaizenna. How do you do that in Google Draft? You just in Google Docs, you just go to add-ons, you click on get add-ons, and here I type in Kaizenna. Okay, here it is. I'm obviously not going to install it because I already have it installed on my Google Drive, but it's free and it's a great application. So if I want to comment on something, all I need to do is open up my add-on. You can see that it's opening. Sometimes it's a little slow, so just give it time. And here you see what exactly the part of the text that I want to comment on. You can change the colors. So I like to use green for something that is done good. I like to use yellow for suggestions and red for something that's absolutely unacceptable, like say plagiarism. And here I can click an audio comment. So once I click on this button, here you can see that it started recording my comment, and I can say something like, this is an example of plagiarism. Please make sure that you paraphrase it appropriately and cite the source appropriately. Okay, and these voice comments limit you to 30 seconds, but 30 seconds is still a pretty good chunk of time that most likely will give you enough time to comment. Alright, I'm not going to play it right now, but you can see that here's the part of the text that I'm commenting on, and here I can click on play, and the student would actually be able to hear my feedback. This works especially well for the students that are not readers and writers, students that lean more towards auditory learning styles or even kinesthetic learning styles, because again, they would be able to do the same thing and they would be able to respond to me if they want to. So I find that this saves a lot of time and also allows you to give individual feedback to the students, which is extremely important for the international students. Okay, so the last couple of things that I want to talk to you about today are glossary and journaling. Glossary is basically a collection of the words that the students recorded throughout the semester. This is very beneficial for learners of multiple languages because not only does it allow them to remember the word better, but they can also always go back to their glossary and look at their words as well as the words that other students recorded. So the assignment that I have here, the students were required to collect 5 words from their extended reading book each week. And these are the things that I asked them to record for each word. Okay, so this is what their glossary looks like. You can see the words from all the students. You can sort them in the alphabetical order, but you can also sort them by the date when they were uploaded or by the author. These two are my favorite options because they also allow for very easy record keeping on my end. Okay, so let me show you how to create one. I'm gonna go back to my dummy course site, and again I click on activity or resource, and here this time I'm gonna click on glossary. Right, so I add the glossary. You can name it whatever you want. Right? You can add the description. So in my case, I added the description of what the students are required to do. You can also click display description on the course page, which is what I did. I am going to change this to the main glossary, and let me show you a couple of options here. So for the entries, it is important for you to go through all these options here and see whether you want the students, whether you want to allow the students to edit their entries, whether you feel it's okay for students to duplicate entries and so on. So for example, here I always make sure that it's a no. You can see whether you want others to be able to comment on the entries. I usually change it to yes. Okay, now here in the appearance, there is also a couple of important options here. For the display format, if you want maximum information and if you also want to be able to see who the author is, I recommend changing it to full with author. And this is what is going to allow you to sort them by the author later. Okay. Again, here I'm going to click to change this to full with author. You can set the activity completion. So if you say have a certain requirement, like say the students are supposed to collect 50 words during the course, I am gonna change this to show activity as complete when conditions are met. And then here I'm gonna set this to 50. Okay, and that's it. I click save and return to course. And now my students should be able to click on this and add a new entry. Okay, I'm not going to do this, but that's what it's going to look like. All right, the last thing that we're going to talk about today is journaling. This is an excellent website for that. That's called Penso.com. This website was discovered by one of my colleagues, Teresa Guzumano, and she was the one who introduced it to us. And ever since she did, I've been using it in my courses and it has been working out great. So why journaling? Most importantly, journaling allows the students to get used to writing. Because they are allowed to write about their own topics, this writing is stress-free, and they also don't grade grammar or organization or anything else in the journals. I just mark their completion. Okay, so why Penso? This website makes it very easy to customize their journals. It makes it a little bit more fun for them, and also it's very easy to keep track of the students' journals. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in, but you can you should encourage your students to sign up. All right, here's my email. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like once you're in it. You would encourage the students to create new journal entry. Okay, and then once I start typing here, okay, so I typed it here. I can type the whole thing here. It's very easy to customize it. There's also prompts, so if the students are stuck, they don't know what they want to talk about, here's one of the prompts for them. Okay, if they want a different one, they can select a new one. So I feel like this feature is really neat. They can add images. My students, I know that they love to talk about their experiences on the weekend and add images here. Okay, and then once I'm done here, I can actually share this journal entry with other students or with the instructor who also has the account. So on this side here, I have journals from different students, and here is an example of what one of the students did. So he was writing about his a trip to New York. Here's the description. Sometimes they also add pictures. I obviously encourage them to add pictures. And the students seem to really like this activity. They seem to enjoy this much more than your regular paper notebook type of a journal.
Okay, so now we're getting to the most exciting part of the instructional technology, at least it's most exciting for me, is the virtual reality. As you probably know, Lehigh had just recently opened a virtual reality lab where they have a number of applications in which the students can interact with the outside world without leaving the lab. And the way that I am using this in my classroom is by involving them in a number of applications that are based on different issues across the globe. You can use Google Earth, where the students can go to a particular place and they can walk on the streets of that place, exploring the environment, exploring the new place. And you can also use a number of social issues applications. There's an issue on diversity. There's an application on diversity training. There's a few applications on the issues of disadvantaged countries, like the refugee camp in Syria, or the starvation in some African countries, and so on. So by showing these applications to the students, by having them experience that, you're definitely going to be opening up a much more involved and much more interesting conversation in your classroom.
Okay, so if you want to learn more about the use of virtual reality, just go to the Lehigh webpage. I usually start by searching Lehigh virtual reality, and the first link that comes up in the search is this webpage. If you click on this link down here, it opens up the programs that are already available at Lehigh. This is not a full list, so they definitely have a lot more programs than this. And if you can think of the ways in which you want to use it in your classroom, contact CITL, set up a tour with them, and they will be more than happy to help you in establishing how you can use it in your classroom.
Okay, so hopefully at this point you have a nice solid overview of what you can do in the classroom with the instructional technology and how you can incorporate all these different tools into the writing class. One of the things that I want to caution you against, one of the mistakes that a lot of people make is they get excited about all these new tools that come out and they want to use them, and they don't really have the use in their classroom for that. So then what happens is that we use the instructional technology to satisfy our own curiosity and not to meet the objectives of the class. So rather than doing that, look at the objectives that you have. Look at the issues, the problems that you might have within those objectives, and then think about how you can address those problems with the use of some of these tools. So I do encourage you to experiment with them, maybe all of them, maybe not all of them at once, but play around, see what works for you. It's very individual, and most importantly, enjoy it. Thank you.